Hello guys, welcome to today's tutorial. If you're also new on this channel, welcome. Today we're going to be learning how to cut our famous IRO and BUBA. And please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and also turn on your notification bell so that you'll be able to get a notification once we post a new video. Thank you. So now to our measurement. My bust measurement I'll be using is 39. Then the length of my buba will be 26. I use 25 eventually. Then the length of my sleeve will be 14 and the width of my sleeve will be 20 that I'm going to be using. Definitely your measurements might not be exactly as my own is, so please take your own measurement and ensure that it's an accurate measurement you have taken. So we're going to be starting with our buba. We are going to measure 1.5 yards from this fabric for our buba, and the remaining will be used for the sleeve too. So as usual, we are meant to fold our fabric into 4. So I've done that to mine already. I folded it into 2, then I folded it into 4. And don't forget, you are going to fold on your wrong side. I folded on my wrong side. And please be mindful of your pattern too. I wanted my pattern to face this way. That was the reason why I folded it like that. However way you want yours to face to, ensure that you also make it that way. So I'm going to adjust it and fold it in a way that I can easily measure and cut. So don't forget that our measurement we took for our bust measurement is 39. 39 divided by 4 will give us 9 and almost 10 inches. So we approximate it to 10 inches. And for the freedom allowance, we are going to be adding about 2 inches and half an inch for our sewing allowance. The freedom allowance is needed because our buba is not meant to be tight, or our buba is not also meant to be too free. So we are just going to be adding 2 inches. But depending on what you want, some people add more than 2 inches for their freedom allowance, but I will be adding 2 inches and just half an inch for my sewing allowance. So next we'll be going to our measurements. Please don't forget, it's your own measurement you'll be using. Your bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2.5 inches. So we'll be measuring from the edge of the fabric. You place your measuring tape at the edge of your fabric and then you measure to ensure that your measurement is accurate. So after folding it, I realized that it is more than 12.5 inches, about 15.5 inches. So I'm going to adjust it and ensure that when I measure it again, it will be around 12.5 inches, which I want to use. So you measure your own as well and ensure that it's exactly the measurement you want it to be. So I'll take my taper again and measure it, and it's exactly, okay, no, it's not 12.5 inches, so I'm still going to adjust it and see if it's up to 12.5 inches. Don't get tired of adjusting if your measurement is not accurate. So yes, finally I've gotten 12.5 inches that I want. So next we are going to be moving over to the length of our buba. The length I'm going to be using 25 inches plus about 1 inch folding in allowance, making it 26 inches. And the total length of this fabric that is here is about 27 inches. So I'm going to cut off the excess number of inches. That's about 1 inch that I'm going to be cutting off because it's just 26 inches that I'll be using. Next thing is to mark our 26 and our 25 inches. We need to ensure that we mark these 2 lines so that we will know where we are going to fold in and which our exact length. So we're going to take our ruler now. You can use your free hand if you don't have a ruler. We're going to measure and define this line. We're going to define 25 inches and 26 inches, then cut off the remainder, which is not useful. Having done that, we are now going to go to our neckline. Our neckline shouldn't be too big, and also it shouldn't be too small, so that it could enter the head of the person who is wearing it. Remember that we're not having any vent, that is any zip or any opening at the back to help the person to easily wear the buba. So we ensure that our neckline is wide enough and easy to wear. Please let your neckline not be too big too. So I'm going to be using 4 inches for my length, and also I'm going to be using 4 inches for my width, and I will be connecting it in a circular shape. You could use different shapes. Some people use V-neck or a square shape, but most times it's a round shape or a circular shape that is mostly used for buba. So you could choose to use whatever you want to use. So as you can see, I have drawn it and it's not too wide. You can see it's not too wide, but it's very okay to enter or pass through the head of the person who is going to be wearing it. So you should always take that into consideration while you are drawing the neckline of your buba. Yes, so for the purpose of a recap, we started by folding our fabric into 4, and that was our bust measurement divided by 4 plus 2 inches for freedom allowance and half an inch for sewing allowance. And the length of the buba that we wanted was 25 inches, and we added 1 inch for folding in allowance. But it depends on what you want. You can add more than 1 inch. And then we moved over to the neckline, and the neckline we used was 4 inches for the length and 4 inches for the width. Please take note that you can always add more allowance to your buba if you want your buba to be freer or you want it to be larger. So next I'm going to be cutting like a bias strip from my Ankara material so I could use it to turn the neck of my buba. But before we do that, let's cut the neckline and also cut our buba from the base of the remaining fabric, and we'll know our buba is ready. So next we are going to notch our shoulder points, so we will know where our shoulder starts from, and we can also attach our sleeve too from that point. So you notch the first part and also notch the second part. Please don't notch it too much so that it doesn't cause issues while you are sewing. Yes, our buba looks like a buba. All we need to do now is to just attach our sleeves to it. Our buba doesn't have a joining at the shoulder, as you can see. And now let's go straight to cutting our bias strip and then our sleeves. I was thinking we'll first take care of our sleeves first, so that the remainder of the material or the fabric that we're using will be used for our bias strip. This material here is the remaining of our buba. Remember I said that the 1.5 yards that we cut out of the base or the whole fabric was going to take care of both our buba and the sleeves that we're going to be sewing. So we'll be taking care of one of our sleeves first, then we're going to place the one we cut and place it on the fabric and cut the next one. So we're going to be folding it into 2. So our sleeve is usually folded in a rectangular shape, and be mindful of your pattern as well. I wanted my pattern to face this way, that's the reason why I folded it like this. So we'll be moving over to our measurement. We'll start with the length. The length that we are going to be using is 14 inches. And we're going to be adding about 2.5 inches. I want my folding allowance to be big, so that's the reason why I'm going to be adding 2.5 inches. So I'm going to be confirming the total length of this fabric as I folded it already, and it's about 17 inches. That is, I'm just going to mark out 1/2 inch since it's just 16.5 inches that I'll be needing from this fabric. So next up, what we are going to be doing is measuring our width. The width we want to use is 20 inches. Divided by 2 will give us 10 since we folded our fabric into 2, and we'll be adding 1/2 inch for joining or seam allowance. So we're going to be folding our fabric into 10.5. So fold your fabric to 10.5 if that's the measurement you'll be using. But if your measurement is different, you divide your measurement by 2 and add about 1/2 inch for your seam allowance. We'll be using our ruler now to define our line. We'll draw a straight line at the measurement of our length, and then we'll cut. So we'll move over to our second sleeve now. We're going to place the first sleeve that we've cut on a folded fabric and adjust it to the size, and take our scissors and cut it to the exact size, and then we'll notch the shoulder point. So our sleeve is ready now, the first part of our sleeve and the second part of our sleeve as well. So what we are going to do now is that we're going to measure our neckline. Open up your neck like this, and then you take your measuring tape, and you have to have a starting point. I'm going to be marking my own starting point, so I'll know where I'm starting from. So I've marked it, and then I begin to measure it all round and round. Measure it round, round and round. You get to your starting point, you keep measuring. Please make sure you measure yours accurately, and don't expect that because I got 28.5 you also get 28.5, even if it's the exact measurement that you used for your neckline. Please just measure your own and ensure that your measurement is accurate. So we'll be moving over to our bias strip now. You can use any of the remaining fabric after your cutting, and remember that our measurement of our round neck is about 28.5, so we're going to measure it and add about 1 inch just in case there was a mistake, making it 29.5. I would advise you add about 2 inches just in case. So we've marked the 29.5, then we'll come down by 1 inch and cut to the end of the fabric. Look at how my bias strip looks like. Though my own is about 1.5 inches, I want you to make your own at least 1 inch so that it will not be too big for the neck of your BUBA. So we are finally going to our wrapper now, our IRO now. I'll be cutting 2.5 yards from the base of the remaining fabric. Please, if your own is not up to, cut what you have, but it should be enough to go around the waist of the person who will be wearing it. This is my 2.5 yards of fabric ready to be used as my IRO. I'll just set this aside. So what I'm going to be doing to the edges of the IRO is that I'm just going to fold it in to make it look neat. And yes, this is how our BUBA is supposed to look. Something like this after sewing. Don't forget to use your bias strip for the neckline, and taking this BUBA by the side by 1/2 inch just like we've left when we cut it. And I think that's all we need to know on how to cut our IRO and BUBA. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please don't forget to subscribe, and see you in the next video. Bye.